My name is Devon VonBalson, and I play drums for Flipturn. And I hopped on the band in 2020. We grew up together in the same local scene in Jacksonville, and then sort of naturally gravitated towards each other. And now we're all best friends and get to do this for a living. So my least favorite thing about touring is probably being away from home. I love my family so much, and they're my best friends, and they're so encouraging and supportive of what I do. So really the time away from my friends and family, that is definitely the hardest part. Not being able to poop on the bus is another difficult part too, right? But I'd weigh it differently. But my favorite part is getting to do this with my best friends. Band, but also crew. We just have such an amazing team, and I feel like we've curated such a good community surrounding our camp, and I just feel like so grateful every day to get up here and do this with the people we're doing it with. So the crew, the band makes it so good, and then the people that show up every night. We have the best fans in the world, so that's what makes it worth it.
So I just saw and met your parents here, and you were telling me, or you can tell me how you got into being a musician, being a drummer. How did that come about? It sounds like you started at a very early age.
Yeah, so I got into this at a very early age because both of my parents are musicians, and my dad's a drummer. So I was in diapers hitting on kids. There was always a drum set up at the house. And I think I was 12 when I decided that I really loved it. And that's when I started actually practicing and learning songs. But the inspiration came from my parents taking me to see their favorite bands, like local shows in Jacksonville, Florida. We would literally road trip as a family to come see shows in this room, like when I was a preteen or teenager, seeing my favorite bands. And I think just the early and constant exposure to the show atmosphere and showing up for sound checks for the groups that they play in, and anytime they were gigging, just getting immersed in the culture, really made me want to be a part of it, just as soon as possible. But I definitely attribute a lot of my early inspiration to the exposure that my parents gave me, and yeah, it's just crazy full circle being in this room in particular too, because this is where a lot of the early inspiration started.
Nice.
Yeah.
So also, as an artist and a drummer, a lot of people don't necessarily ever get to experience what it's really like performing on stage.
Yeah.
What do you find unique about the energy a crowd brings, and is that a thing? Does a sold-out show make you play harder rather than a non-sold-out show?
The energy from the audience definitely will directly impact how I'm playing each night. I mean, we always talk about it. It's such an energy exchange, us being on stage and the audience being here. There's some nights where we sort of have to kind of fake it, maybe an audience doesn't know us as well, or it's not our crowd, and you get a lot of starers and a lot of people that are just sort of listening and nodding, and maybe they don't know the songs yet. But when it's our people that show up to the shows, and they're going so hard, and they're raging, and they're singing every word, it makes me want to hit my drums harder, and it makes me want to play even better. So much so to the point where sometimes I'll get too excited, and I'll mess something up maybe, just purely out of excitement and having fun. But that stuff is so worth it to me, That raw energy exchange, it might be the most intoxicating feeling in life, and for what we get to do, It's it's the dopamine hit that we get every night. That's oh, we got to go and do that again, It's the best. And knowing what it feels like to be on the other side as well, getting into music, starting as a fan, being able to create that same feeling for people having already experienced it, it's the coolest thing in the world, man. It's so sick.
Do you have an oh shit moment on tour or on stage? On tour, be it something dangerous happened or an oh shit moment, or one of those moments in time where you catch yourself thinking, I want to soak this moment up?
I have a ton of oh shit moments, and it's normally we'll get so far into a run, maybe a month in or more than a month in, and you sort of go like autopilot mode. It's just sort of repetitive, you know, different venue, feels kind of the same. We've played the show like 20 or 30 times at this point, so it's really just like second nature. And I'll catch myself like being stuck in the middle of that, in like the middle of our set, and I'm like, dude, like you're doing exactly what you've wanted to do your whole life, and you gotta snap out of the autopilot and like take a deep breath and soak it in, you know? Because it's just like, to not be grateful for this for even a second, it like doesn't make sense to me, you know? It's like, this is so much luck, and yes, a lot of hard work, and like we definitely grinded to be where we're at, but at the end of the day, like the people that are showing up are the reason like we get to do what we get to do. So I definitely have moments throughout the show where I just want to snap out of that autopilot and like be present and just soak up how awesome of an atmosphere this is, you know?
That's really cool that you're aware of that. That
Yeah.
happens a lot.
Yeah.
How important is a good crew, especially the crew you're traveling with? Because we got 12 people in a bus. There's been no drama. How would you describe your crew or the importance of a good crew on the road?
Yeah, a good crew is everything, man. They make our lives so much easier. This might be the first tour I've ever done where I haven't gotten sick in the middle of a run, and I genuinely think it's because of all the sleep I've been able to get because of the hard work our crew is doing. Not only like the work ethic is important, but also the camaraderie, like the community and the team building that like we have in our camp is so awesome. And I consider every single person like on our crew one of my good friends. You know what I mean? I would go get a beer with them, or I'd go to the beach or like hang out with them literally any day. You know what I mean? They're some of my favorite people on the planet. And I think because we've been very particular with who we're like allowing into our camp, we've been able to create this atmosphere. And it's just so precious, man. You know, like drama can make or break a tour. You know what I mean? I mean, it'll break a tour. We want to avoid that at all costs. So getting to tour with people that we vibe with and we connect with really well, it's so important because it just makes the tour more sustainable. I feel like I could go another month doing this, you know what I mean? So I think it's everything. Crew is everything, man.
Outstanding.
Yeah.
So, like, final question. Young musicians, young people coming up wanting to start a band or get into a band,
Yeah.
do what you do.
Yeah.
What would you say to them? Any advice?
To young artists out there starting their first band or maybe just getting into this, I think the most important thing is, well, one, if you're an artist, just make music that you love, you know? It starts with imitation, you know? Pull from your favorite artists, make things that you vibe with. But the most important thing, I think, is it's your friendships, it's your relationships. Like, get involved in your local music scene, go see as many local artists as possible, meet people, connect, keep building your network, and like that's how you get opportunities. That's how you can maybe do a show swap and go to a city that you haven't been to before. And you never know, years down the road, you might reconnect with somebody that you met in like a small club, and it might be somebody that you get to do some really significant work with one day. That's how a lot of people in our crew ended up where they've ended up, you know? But I think 90% of how this industry works is just, are you a good person? Are you consistent? Can you be a good friend? And if you can do those things, man, like you're gonna do great. Yeah.
And last question. What's up with the rubber chicken?
Rubber chicken. We've had this like rubber chicken bit for some years now. It started in like the van tour days, kind of just like a coping mechanism. We stopped at like a gas station, grabbed one of those like squeaking rubber chickens, and I think it was just to torment one another in the van, you know. But then fans caught on to it, and then it turned into a whole thing. The original chicken was named Jalapeno, and now people will give us or maybe throw a chicken on stage, and we just sort of collect them. There might be 100 different rubber chickens that we have in like a storage container somewhere, you know. But that's kind of the extent of it, man. Just a big joke, and fans sort of latched onto it, and I think it's a fun little gimmick that we have going on. Yeah.
Got it.
Cool.